We're back for our Week 17 best player props for this week's action in the NFL. We've got a good amount of games today. Obviously, we've already talked about or already seen the games played on Christmas, and we're already into some of the games on Saturday here. But of course, we're going to drop our 5 best player props. Nothing involved for Saturday's game, so we're not missing anything there. But our 5 best player props for Sunday and Monday for Week 17 of the NFL season. Now, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more NFL content here on the channel. Next week, we'll be back for our Week 18 content and then on to the postseason after. But next week, Wednesday, Week 18 full predictions, and then best player props and best money lines and spreads. Best bet's going to be on Friday, player props on Saturday, weekly now for the rest of the NFL season. Folks, before we get into it, again, hit that subscribe button down below for more daily NBA and that's PFL. Daily NBA and college basketball best bets on the channel as well. And then also our college football predictions are also on the channel too. We're going to have our playoff predictions coming out on Monday, so you're not going to want to miss that video. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best player props for this week. Let's kick things off with our first one, Joe Burrow. Over 262.5 passing yards against the Arizona Cardinals. It feels like a no-brainer, guys. I expect 1,000,000 points in this game. It's Cincinnati and Arizona. We expect a bunch of points. It's a game where both teams don't really care. Well, they do. Both teams don't have a defense. Both teams should be able to score at will. I think the Bengals probably win this game. They're at home, and Arizona hasn't won a game in weeks at this point, weeks at this point now. But you look at Joe Burrow last week, the best game we've seen Burrow play all year long in Miami. First game, of course, the Bengals are eliminated, so checks out, but it's okay. No, I want to see Burrow win again, man. He's too good to be sitting at home in January every single year. And sure, a product of that also is just him being hurt on a yearly basis, but whatever. And Cincinnati's defense and O-line. I just want to put that out there. Okay, it's horrible every year. Anyways, though, Joe Burrow against the Miami Dolphins, 25 completions on 32 attempts for 309 yards and 4 touchdowns. Where was that when I was not eliminated in fantasy? Huh? Fantasy football playoffs, we put up 225 yards and 2 picks and no touchdowns against the Ravens? Yeah, really? And then as soon as I'm out, that's what we do? Okay. First year I've ever had Joe Burrow, by the way. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I've never had Joe Burrow in fantasy. I got him this year because someone dropped him because they had too many IR spots in my league. So I was like, you know what? And we thought Burrow was out for the year. I took a chance. I stashed Burrow. I started him. I mean, I had Mayfield, though. Like, Mayfield's play like crap in the second half anyway, or not play that well in the second half. So I would have lost regardless. But that's crap, man. Whatever. Anyways, Joe Burrow, last game against the Dolphins, the best game he's played all year long. He's playing the Arizona Cardinals this week. Potentially the worst defense in the NFL. There's a lot of bad defenses in the NFL. The Cardinals are up there, though. By the way, game in Cincinnati. So I just want to put that too. This is a team that plays in a dome, a team that plays in the desert, going to Cincinnati. I don't know what the weather is going to look like in Cincinnati, Ohio. And honestly, I don't really think it matters unless it's snowing, and it's not going to be snowing. It's going to be... It's likely no rain, light rain. We're looking at 65 degrees. But still, though, that's a team in the desert that's used to scorching hot temperatures, obviously, in Arizona, going to the Midwest to play in Ohio. And by the way, a Cardinals team that's 3-12, unmotivated, and they play the same style of game every single week. They go down early. Jacoby Brissett trying to fight back, puts up a bunch of yards, slinging it all game long to Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, and the final end score doesn't look too bad. You look at the stats and say, oh, wow, well, Jacoby threw for 300 yards. Okay, whatever. They still lose by 7 to 21 points. But their stats don't look that bad, and the Cardinals aren't trying to win, so okay. I want Mendoza to end up as a Cardinal, man. I don't think it's going to happen because I think, obviously, we have the Tankathon game, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the Tank Bowl later in this video. But I don't know. If any way Arizona can get number 1, that would be great, man. Mendoza not on the Raiders. The Raiders, I don't trust the Raiders. Mendoza with McBride. They just need to get a running back. Oh, man. If they can get, a Travis Etienne. I don't think Etienne's going to leave Jacksonville. He might, though. I don't know. Bashal Tootin, who knows? I would love that, though. Absolutely. Anyways, Joe Burrow over today. Definitely. Burrow's going to get a lot of attempts. Last game against Miami, 309 yards. We only need 263 this week. Since Burrow's return, he is only 2 for 4 on this, but 261 yards in his return against Baltimore, 284 in the loss against the Bills, 225 against Baltimore. And yet Chase Brown has been huge on this team. Obviously, he's been huge with the offense. But Chase Brown's being used a lot as a pass catcher. And that's always what the Bengals have done. Just with Joe Burrow offenses, with Chase Brown, or hell, with Samaje Perine, who's still here, obviously, or back with the Bengals. They use their pass catching backs. They're obviously going to go throw for pass first today, I assume, or tomorrow, I assume. Against the Cardinals defense, that can't stop you at all. Not a chance. And the Bengals receiving corps for the first time in a while is fully healthy, at least consistently healthy now, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And that's it. Gesicki, obviously, who does his weird gritty every time he goes to Miami, or just in general. And of course, he did it in Miami, the robot gritty. It's okay. I'm going to take Joe Burrow to go over 262.5 passing yards. I just feel like it's too low of a line, especially against the Cardinals team that's not good. And on top of that, game is in Cincinnati as well. I'm going to go over passing yards this week for Joe Burrow against the lowly Arizona Cardinals. On to our next best player prop. Let's go to the Prince, Trevor Lawrence, over 233.5 passing yards against the Indianapolis Colts. This might be my favorite of the week. Did you watch Brock Purdy play the Colts? Did we not see what happened? Yes, the Colts are alive, and I really hope the Indianapolis Colts make the playoffs. I hope they win this game, and I hope we get a winner-go-home game, obviously, next week for the Colts and Texans, because, well, this video is going up, like, at the end of the Chargers game. Obviously, I'm recording this beforehand. I think the Chargers are going to beat the Texans, but what do I know? Well, hopefully I know quite a bit. Anyways, we'll see. But the Colts probably playing for something. I think the Chargers are going to win on Saturday. Regardless of that fact, though, obviously the teams are still playing, and the Jaguars still absolutely need to win this football game. No matter what. If the Texans win or they lose, the Jags need to go out here and win this one. Did we not just watch what the Colts did defensively against the San Francisco 49ers and Brock Purdy? Purdy's great. Purdy's really good. I think Trevor Lawrence right now is playing at a top 5 level in the NFL. And just don't take my word for it. Watch the games and watch how he's been playing in this last 4-game stretch. After that Cardinals game where it was another one of those, Trevor Lawrence is going to throw the ball deep and pray game. Lawrence has thrown, he's been absurd. He's thrown for 12 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the last 4 games. He's been averaging about 280 yards per game in this last 4-game stretch against Tennessee, Indianapolis, the Jets, and the Denver Broncos, which, by the way, he has his probably second best performance because the Jets game was crazy, and we'll talk about that in a second. But against the Broncos, 23 for 36 passing for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns for Trevor Lawrence. How about that? 4 total touchdowns because he had the rushing touchdown. Week before, how about 6 total touchdowns, 5 passing touchdowns on 20 for 32 passing against the Jets for 330 yards. He has been playing out of his mind right now. Last game against the Colts, only had 244 yards and 17 completions. Well, hell, guys, we only need 234. But this is a controlled environment game. We're in Indianapolis. We just saw how horrible the Colts defense is. They let down Phillip Rivers last week. Rivers, 44 years old, carrying the Colts on his back. And the defense can't get him one stop. Oh, he threw a pick 6 at the end of the game. The game was over. The Colts defense couldn't get your 44-year-old quarterback, who's your best player on your team, one stop in that game. Purdy's great. The weapons in San Francisco are great with Kittle, Jennings, McCaffrey. There's some great players in that team, I understand, but you couldn't get your quarterback one stop. They're not stopping Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is playing at a top 5 level right now. Trevor Lawrence is an MVP candidate right now. He's the guy that's going to lead the Jacksonville Jaguars to not just winning the AFC Championship, but winning the Super Bowl, in my opinion, right now. That's how highly I think of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And sure, they're going to have a somewhat easy path, I think. That's part of it, too. But I really like what Liam Cohen's doing. He is, I've been saying it a lot recently, offensive mastermind Liam Cohen. And Trevor Lawrence is just playing out of his mind. This is fully, again, what we have been waiting for out of Trevor Lawrence, becoming an elite quarterback. He is exactly that now. He is elite. No one's telling me otherwise. Now, the Colts are getting some help back. The main player I'm talking about, Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner, who the Colts trade 2 first-round picks for, who Adam Schefter, was it Schefter or Rappaport? I think it was Rappaport, who tried to go banger hunting on Twitter by saying, yes, this is real, after, it's just like, I don't know why Rappaport thought the Sauce Gardner trade was like the Luka trade, but it's okay. Thought people were going to be that shocked. I remember when I saw the tweet, I was still sleeping when the trade happened. I woke up, checked my phone real quick. I was early in the morning, checked my phone, see a notification. Sauce Gardner traded the Colts. I'm like, yeah, good on the Colts. They finally, Ursay Gordon, she made her move to go get a big player. I was like, all right, cool. Went back to bed, woke up a couple hours later, and I saw the Rappaport tweet. Yes, it's real. Like, yeah, dude, I knew it was real. But again, I went back to bed. It's not like I was in shock about that. Anyways, Sauce Gardner's back. He's back. He's been out with the calf injury for quite a bit now. Got injured in their game against the Houston Texans at home. No, was the Texans game or was it the Chiefs game? I believe it was the Texans. It was the Texans game he got injured. He's back. They need him to be back, obviously, because they're trying to make this one last push. They still control their own destiny if Houston loses this week, which, again, the Colts will know. If the Colts are still alive on Sunday, yes, they'll control their own path. I hate this game for them. it's the Jags, and it's Trevor Lawrence, and the defense has been playing pretty well for Jacksonville too. I mean, there's not a rougher stretch Philip Rivers could have been given in his return. That's why I think it's absolutely critical and crucial. They give Philip Rivers one more year. I think they should make him the starting quarterback next year as well. But then you have the unintelligent part of the Colts fan base who, we want Anthony Richardson. Come on, dude. I like AR, but dude, he's not a starting quarterback in the league. He's not. It's just I sold all my stocks on the Anthony Richardson hype train when he tapped himself out of a football game. I couldn't do any more with him, man. I wanted to believe in Richardson. I was at one of Richardson's best games against the Los Angeles Rams at Lucas Oil. I was getting so pumped for the guy, and I don't know. It's hard, man. It's hard getting behind Anthony Richardson. He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Philip Rivers is. So I'm just saying that's what should happen next year for the Colts. Rivers is your guy. Anyways, Trevor Lawrence goes over. He should smash this line against a bad Colts defense. I don't care. Sauce is back. Give me Trevor Lawrence. Next up, we go on to our third best bet of the video. Jackson Dart. Under 187.5 passing yards. Why? The Giants aren't trying to win. I don't know why. I hope I'm right on this, because I've been pretty adamant on this now across 3 videos. But I watched Giants-Vikings, and it has never been more clear to me for a team that's been trying to lose and tank. And they were very in the game against the Vikings, and this is why it was even more apparent. The Vikings made a lot of mistakes in that game, and they simply put just kept New York in that one in the Meadowlands, obviously at East Rutherford, New York, right? New Jersey, excuse me. They kept the Giants in the game. And Max Brosmer comes in, and we saw on Christmas how much struggle the Vikings had just to move the football at Brosmer at quarterback. They still beat the Lions because the Lions are just happy to get their 4th place schedule. But anyways, the Vikings with Brosmer find a way to beat the Giants. But this is why it was even more apparent that the Giants were trying to lose against the Vikings. They have 140 yards total in that game. The Vikings aren't playing well, and yet the Giants are still in the game. But now that they're like, oh crap, we're, by the way, on an interim head coach, they go, oh crap, we actually are in a game. We thought we were going to get blown out. How do we sell it? This is how you do it. Jackson Dart throws for 33 passing yards and goes 7. I never use 7 in terms of a completion number, but it is what it is. 7 completions on 13 attempts for 33 yards and a pick. It has never been so apparent a team's trying to lose. You don't even give your quarterback an opportunity. Tyrone Tracy runs the ball 16 times. Devin Singletary runs the ball 11 times. That was the game plan. Run it as much as possible. I'm telling you, this is why I will give you a hint in what we did with our best bets with money lines and spreads. That's why I took the Raiders. I don't know. Again, the Raiders, it obviously seems like their brass doesn't want to win. Their front office doesn't win by telling Mason Crosby, not the Packers kicker, Max Crosby, dude, you're not playing. Yeah, we're going to inform you, pal, you're not playing in this game. The Giants have this all figured out. They've already ruled out a bunch of starters as well. They're going on the road to Vegas for a planned L. They're going on the road planning to lose a football game. And how are they going to out-tank the Raiders? Well, the Raiders are still going to run their offense. They're just not expecting their offense to look as good. The guys in the field actually care. And I'm not saying the Giants players don't care either. The Giants just witnessed their team not attempt to pass in the first quarter last week. Giants players watched their quarterback attempt 13 passes in the entire game. The Raiders Pete Carroll's going to still call plays, okay? I don't know. Again, also, I don't know what Pete Carroll's long-term outlook is with the Raiders. I don't know if he's staying past the season or staying past another year. I mean, obviously, this is the quarterback he wanted. This is the kind of foundation of the Las Vegas Raiders that Pete Carroll thought could win, is with Geno Smith. It's with, I guess, Genty and Brock Bowers, who, by the way, are all playing this week. Oh, sorry, Bowers isn't, but Michael Mayer is, and Ashton Genty. But that's a team that Pete Carroll, I guess, actually thought could kind of win. So I don't know if he really cares about the tank, because obviously Pete Carroll's not going to be coaching the entire career of Fernando Mendoza. He might coach his first 5 seasons, but Pete Carroll's, with all due respect, he's old. He's not going to coach that much longer. I mean, dude wants to go back home to his millions of dollars and his family for a good reason. I would too if I was at this point, obviously, in his coaching career. He's trying to win games. Pete Carroll doesn't want to keep losing to the 2-win Giants. He's going to try to win the football game. The Giants have it all figured out. They're going to out-tank the Raiders this week. Jackson Dart won't even be given the opportunity to throw the football, at least as many times, to go for 188 yards. That's the thing. We're not picking, oh, look at the Raiders secondary, who, by the way, played a lot better last week. I know Stroud had some moments, but the Raiders secondary held their own. They got called for a couple bogus pass interference calls. Maybe the Raiders themselves paid the referees, hey, we don't want to win this game, but don't tell our players, so we're going we're going to give you something so we don't win. Maybe that happened. I don't know. But the Raiders secondary didn't look that bad last week, honestly. They got hit with some bad calls. This is not, though, about talent. This is not about, team versus team, player versus player. No, the Giants will not give Jackson Dart the opportunity to go over 187.5 passing yards. I'm going to go with the under this week at Allegiant Stadium, under 187.5 for Jackson Dart. On now to our fourth best player prop of the week. Let's go on to potentially one of the biggest games of the week, Buffalo versus Philadelphia. We've only done this once this season, and we didn't hit it, so I will be fully transparent with you here. We've done anytime touchdown prop once, and we hit it with Travion Henderson. Didn't go our way. It's okay. James Cook, anytime touchdown. Plus 100. Plus 100 for James Cook. A guy who has 14 touchdowns this season in 15 games. I think this is going to be all right. Last 2 games for James Cook, how about 5 touchdowns? 2 against the Browns, 3 against the New England Patriots. For a guy who runs the ball at the volume in which James Cook gets, I think we're going to be okay. One of the biggest factors of limiting James Cook touchdowns is Josh Allen. Because we know what Josh Allen does. Obviously, I think he's got the record. He has to at this point. For most games with both a passing and a rushing touchdown, we know how dangerous Josh Allen can be. And obviously, he's the best talent in the sport, best player in the sport. Might not be reflected with an MVP this year. It's definitely going to Matthew Stafford. But obviously, right, Josh Allen is the best player in the NFL. He's going to find his opportunities. And if they're at the 1-yard line and they really need it, they're not going to hand the ball off to James Cook. They're just going to go snowplow, as they call it, getting Josh Allen in the end zone. Regardless, though, James Cook's given so many opportunities, and I expect the Bills to find ways to score throughout this entire game against Philadelphia, who, again, we completely broke this game down yesterday, so if you want to go check out that video, I highly recommend it, because we had a best bet in this game. I won't spoil who it is, but by the way I'm talking about this, you can probably guess who it is. But anyways, right, there's going to be a lot of scoring, I believe, in this game, especially for Buffalo. So if you give James Cook this amount of opportunity and potential spots where the Bills are at the goal line or within the 10-yard line, inside the 10-yard line, I think James Cook's going to score at least once in this game, potentially multiple times. James Cook did have a 2-game stretch where he didn't score at all, and that was against Pittsburgh and Houston. I think another 2-game stretch against the Dolphins and the Chiefs where he didn't score touchdowns, but last 2 weeks have been back to normal, again with the 2-touchdown day against the Cleveland Browns and the 3-touchdown day against the New England Patriots, both on the road. Yes, they returned back to Orchard Park this week, but that shouldn't really make a difference. And the big reason why we're taking James Cook here, again, is the volume. I think they're going to be able to score in Philadelphia. It's an Eagles defense that has been pretty solid this year, but if there's a game where I expect the Bills offense to show up, it's going to be in this one. It's a big time spot. America's Game of the Week, Tom Brady on commentary. There's 2 games in the afternoon slate. This one in the Tank Bowl. One of these games has to be entertaining. Hell, maybe both of them will, but I don't expect any entertainment value out of Raiders-Giants other than a crappy football game that the Raiders just find a way to win. Because, again, we just talked about it earlier. The Giants are going to do everything in their power to not win that football game. They are making sure Jackson Dart doesn't get a chance to win that game for them. It's time to go Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary runs the entire outing. So this game has to be entertaining. There's going to be a huge scoring in this game, I believe, at least on the Buffalo side, and James Cook's going to get the football. But again, going back to the volume side of things, James Cook turned 16 carries into 117 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Cleveland Browns last week, a Browns run D that's supposed to be really solid. Supposed to be, right? I think ever since Shedeur Sanders has become the starting quarterback of that team, the defense has just gone away. But it's okay, whatever, I'm still a Shedeur guy. Anyways, before that for James Cook, how about 22 carries for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, and then 2 catches for 4 yards, but a receiving touchdown for James Cook as well. Again, we don't care if it's rushing or receiving. Either way, that works for us, again, with the anytime touchdown. And usually, as we do these player prop videos, every game or every prop and every bet we make is priced at minus 115. Obviously, with anytime touchdown props, that's going to be different. We give this one at plus 100. But, the volume is really through the roof for James Cook. The floor for James Cook carries is 16. I firmly believe that. The way Buffalo is calling plays right now, the fact that James Cook is leading the NFL in rushing yards with 1,500, the volume in which he gets, the way that he separated himself from the other backs on this team, which are really just Ty Johnson and Ray Davis, James Cook gets all the carries for Buffalo. You could argue he's been one of the best backs, if not the best back in the National Football League this year. And you don't think of James Cook as just, elite back in terms of he's not a Saquon Barkley, he's not a Christian McCaffrey, he might not have the best rating in Madden. This is a 3-time back-to-back Pro Bowler who's having a career year and has gone over 1,000 yards in each of the last 3 seasons. He's just been that good. So the volume again for James Cook, the floor is 16, the ceiling is 30s. I'm serious. 32 carries against Pittsburgh. I don't know if we're going to see that again maybe for the rest of the season. But saying James Cook's going to get in the mid-20s in terms of carries, that is definitely plausible as well. So I'm going to go with an easy anytime touchdown here. I think it's fairly easy for him here. Philadelphia, yes, they have a decent defense, but I think James Cook's going to score. I'm going to go plus 100 at Orchard Park for James Cook III, anytime touchdown at home against Philly. On to our final best bet of the video. Let's go to Monday Night Football for Matthew Stafford over 267.5 passing yards. It's not the final statement Stafford can make towards the Most Valuable Player award, but it's one that can almost put the nail in the coffin for Matthew Stafford. He's currently a minus 400 favorite to win the MVP. If you care, the top 5 currently are Stafford at minus 400, Drake May at plus 330, Josh Allen at plus 3,000, Trevor Lawrence at plus 7,500, and Justin Herbert at plus 10,000. So it's really a two-man race. It's Stafford or May. And the only reason May's still in this is because, well, Stafford, even though he played a great game on Thursday night against the Seattle Seahawks, they lost, and Drake May was on prime time in a flex spot against the Baltimore Ravens, and he came back from down 10 points late to ultimately win it for the New England Patriots. So Drake May has worked his way back into the MVP conversation once more. It's still Stafford's to lose. And obviously, May's going to get to make a statement first as the New England Patriots are on the road in New York, and it's a game the Patriots should be able to dominate. However, there's not a bunch of eyes on that game. It's just another game on the early morning slate, which, you know, it's going to get attention on Red Zone, but it's just not one of those games you expect. Hell, Scott Hansen's not going to be talking about that game that much because there's other big games at the 10 o'clock hour, like Pittsburgh-Cleveland. There's a Myles Garrett sack record. Pittsburgh's trying to, potentially win the division. Colts-Jags could be a big spot, right? Carolina-Seahawks is a big game. Bucks-Dolphins is a big game. That's a game in New England, New York that's going to get lost. Somebody's going to be talking about that game. So the big statement that can be made by Matthew Stafford is, well, everybody's watching Monday Night Football. It's a standalone game. And sure, there's another game next week for the Rams as they're taking on the Cardinals, I think, right? Yes, they have the Cardinals at home. This is the last statement game Matthew Stafford can make, and I think the Rams are going to dominate it. Well, I think Stafford's going to dominate it. I don't know about the Rams defense. I still think they're going to be good enough. But obviously, Stafford almost has the MVP in the bag, right? I like to argue that Trevor Lawrence should be, in the conversation. Obviously, when I compare Trevor Lawrence's stats to Matthew Stafford's stats and the records of both teams as well, well, actually, no, Jacksonville's going to have almost the same record as the Rams, maybe even a better record. But anyways, it's kind of hard to say it's not Matthew Stafford just based on stats. And even when we look at Drake May, too, it's like, all right, yeah, May's got 200 less yards, but he's got 15 less touchdowns and 3 more interceptions than Matthew Stafford. Yeah, May's got the best QBR in the league, but it's hard to say it's not Stafford's award. So again, he can put away the MVP race with not even a dominant performance, but just a good performance against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons defense that it's all right, but it's a defense that Stafford I would expect to shred. So 267 yards for Stafford, or in this case, we need 268 yards out of Matthew Stafford, should be fairly easy, especially when you look at the last 3 games Stafford has played. Hell, look at the last 4 out of 5 Stafford has played. He has gone over this number. Let's go back to 5 games ago against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 25 passes on 35 attempts. 25 completions, on 35 attempts against Tampa Bay for 273 yards. Carolina game is the outlier, only had 243 yards. Not a great game for Stafford, threw 2 picks. Game-losing turnover for Stafford as well in the fourth quarter. Then in Arizona, 22 for 31 passing for 281 yards. 24 for 38 passing against the Lions for 368 yards. And how about that game? Overtime L of the Seahawks, but my goodness, Stafford, 29 for 49 passing for 457 yards. The Rams were looking at the Davante Adams situation, and it seems that Davante's not going to play again for the regular season. He did not practice all week long. We know for a fact he's not playing this week. I guess maybe he could play next week against the Cardinals, but likely no more Adams till the postseason. They're going to rest him until obviously they can bring him back, and the Rams are kind of locked out of the number 1 seed. There are some equations where they can get it. I think it involves legitimately. I think that all this needs to go their way. Bears need to beat the Niners this week. Niners need to win this week, and the Niners need to lose next week. No, but then Seattle would get it. Carolina needs to beat Seattle. San Francisco needs to win this one, and then they need to lose the Bears and beat the Seahawks, I think it is. And then you need the Bears lose the Lions next week. The Rams aren't getting the number 1 seed. Unfortunately, they're not getting it. So, they know where they're going to be in the wild card race. Obviously, Adams is not coming back to the postseason because they don't need him. The Rams are either going to be stuck at 5 or 6, which you'd much rather be 5 than 6, because if you're 6, you got to go to Philly. If not, you get to go to the NFC South and play in warm weather, likely Tampa, and beat up on the Buccaneers, because the Rams historically for the last 25 years have always beaten the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the postseason. But anyways, This is an impact game for Matthew Stafford. This is a statement game for Matthew Stafford. Go out there and take the most valuable player award, which we've always known Stafford's going to be a Hall of Fame player, but one of those circumstances where is he first ballot? Probably, but not entirely sure. Oh yeah, at 37 years of age winning his first MVP, this puts Matthew Stafford in the all-time great conversation. A Super Bowl this year would put him in the top 5 of all time conversation, and definitely, again, no doubt, 100% first ballot Hall of Famer Matthew Stafford would be if he wins the MVP this year, and that's all he needs to do if he dominates the Falcons this week. Absolutely, getting the ball to Puka Nacua, who's been the best receiver in the NFL. It's classic Matthew Stafford football, though, right? Eyeing on one guy, whether that be Calvin Johnson in Detroit, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, or Devontae Adams in the red zone. Stafford knows who he wants to throw the football to, and he will get it to you. He should win the MVP as long as he doesn't put up a stinker in Atlanta, and exactly that's what we need him to do. We need him to dominate this week. Matthew Stafford, again, just have a good game. Stafford, over 267.5 passing yards on the road on Monday Night Football against his former defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris, and the Atlanta Falcons. Folks, thank y'all for watching our 5 best player props here for week 17. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you did this good thing in the picks. We'll be back next week for more predictions, best bets, and best player props for the final week of the NFL's regular season here in 2025. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.